The following program contains sensitive content that some viewers may find upsetting and/or disturbing, such as brief depictions and mentions of animal abuse and death. Horses, an integral part of American culture. But why are they treated so poorly?
You can't help them all, but you can make a world of difference to the one that you have helped.
Nestled in between the historic towns of Goshen and Warwick, New York, lies Iron Horse Sanctuary, a 164-acre fourth-generation family farm turned non-profit organization in September 2019.
We've got over 30 equine animals, over 18 semi-feral cats. We have a pig named Pearl. We have 3 goats, all of which were saved, for the most part, by one family who over the past 25 years have financially supported this sanctuary on their own, which is an unbelievable feat and is a testament to how hardworking and incredibly dedicated the My Rescues are. K.O. Hanlon, My Rescue in particular, who is the person who's been really and truly saving these animals for, since she could walk, but at this particular location for over 25 years. And her heart and soul is truly into it, and she knows more about animals and horses in particular than anybody I've ever, come into contact with. She's utterly amazing.
My father was a life member of the International League for Protection of Horses, so we got their quarterly brochure with all the graphic pictures in from across Europe. I knew more than I really needed to know, but it also made me a little more sympathetic to the cause and the plight of these animals, even just a farm animal in a sales auction.
It's really heart-wrenching when you think what someone could do to an animal like this and how happy they are just to be free and you be around them. It's very healing. It's very healing.
On July 27, 2020, K.O. Hanlon Myreski, Barbara Fontaine, and Zena Mazzone travel nearly 200 miles in the hot summer heat to Pennsylvania to buy as many animals as they can from the New Holland livestock sale. These auction houses are often called kill pens, since most of the horses are sold to slaughterhouses down in Mexico and in Canada. Cameras are not allowed inside the kill pens, so we meet the volunteers on their way back to the sanctuary.
All the babies drinking. Sheets of Euphrasia, just store number 481 or gas station 481. Took all of our buckets inside and filled them in their back faucet. And they said, if it's for the horses, we'll fill up as many buckets as you want. So a super shout out to this Sheets, because they did us a big favor. All these guys are thirsty.
I gotta get back to the video.
Look at Jojo getting his drink on. Look at Jojo. These are thirsty hot horses and ponies. And they're all getting a nice drink.
And Zena's squeezing in with the stud and the mini gelt. Don't get bitten.
Yeah. He already bit me once.
So they're gonna get a drink.
Hiya, beauties.
Thank you everybody for sticking with us all day today. It's been a long day. We've saved 7 animals today between Iron Horse Sanctuary and the 2 other sanctuaries and rescues that collaborated with us today. This is the baby boy. He has a pink collar halter on, but he's a boy and he's a baby.
He's a baby and a thirsty baby.
He's a thirsty baby.
Good. We like drinking.
And they're all doing well. They've all got their hay squares. Hey, Jojo. He's a sweetheart. He's skinny. He needs the nutrition. He's going to go up to Vermont and he's going to get loved on. He's going to get well taken care of. Here's our boy. We had a lovely sponsor come by the farm and give us the money for this beautiful boy, and then she today gave us the money for this beautiful boy. What an amazing person she is. She wants to remain anonymous. She's amazing, and she allowed us to do more today than we had hoped. It was an amazing day at auction because, quite frankly, there weren't a lot of horses going to slaughter. There were people buying them for personal use, which is exactly what you'd want the auction to be, and that's exactly what it was today. So it was really pretty awesome to see that. This is Jojo. He's a very thin old boy, draft cross. He was the whole reason we went up to auction. We had seen a post about him, and so we went specifically up to grab him. And Gerda Equine Rescue is taking him, and they're going to get him back to health and then adopt him out. That's a foal. Excuse me. Just a baby. We were happy to get him today. He had no business being there.
Oh, dear.
No business.
Well, you know what? Let them get a little bit of grass for a minute. Oh, my God.
I'll tell you, he looks so much better after having some water.
Yeah.
Once unloaded, the volunteers bring the horses and ponies into the barn to be quarantined, fed, watered, and medically evaluated.
And K&N have been supporting the sanctuary up until last August when we became a 501c3 financially on their own.
Oh, wow.
For over 20 years. You know, that's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know, and I saved a couple of draft mules and got to know them while they were being quarantined here.
Okay.
And I was just like, you're a sanctuary. Like, well, we're farmers, you know, we take care of animals, but we don't have time to be a sanctuary.
Right.
Well, I do. So, you know, that's how it all kind of came to be. And now, you know, they're experiencing kind of outside help for the first, you know, time, which I think
fantastic,
is
yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and they deserve it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been doing this out of the kindness of their hearts for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just make it, hasn't been a good drinker. So what I've done is given him minimal amount of hay stretcher. You want to come and hold him, or I'll just take his temperature on the place. And then put plenty of liquid on. We're going to feed him once I come in to take his temperature.
Okay.
Please. All right. So let's take. You get the door, Emma. I'll stop you.
Oh, come on.
Okay. All right. We're putting him on his own.
Okay.
because he has cough, but he also has quite a temperature.
Okay.
Jojo's temperature was mildly elevated as well.
You know what we'll do, Emma? Ground of view. The one good thing is she's eating. She has an appetite, which is good. But also because with her being so skinny, she's got to have a lot of, frequent small meals, because the thing is, if you start throwing too much at them too quickly, they get a bellyache, which is in their world colic, and that can be extremely problematic. You are lovely. Yes, you are lovely. You are. The only trouble is these are the ones that you really have to worry about. Because you have to hope that they've built up a good enough immune system that they've got from their mother, just like dogs and cats. And not knowing his history and where he's been or when he was weaned or anything, he's at probably as high a risk as the super ancient one on the end. It's just like the same with people, it's the young and the old.
Yeah.
So it saddens me, why breed an heir just because she's got a uterus to pull a baby off and chuck it away?
That makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense, does it? But you can't, it's like, you can't make sense of these people anymore.
No.
Yeah.
That was a whole different world.
Yeah. It said this one might be bred. So,
Yeah, they're hoping for poop.
she's
Poop is good. Poop is good.
ready to pee. But you can tell it's just a little, there's nothing there. They have no fluid.
Drinks. Oh, he got wet food. But I don't think
Each animal received food and water. Those who had an elevated temperature received a shot of phenylbutazone, or Bute for short, a sort of horse Tylenol, before being tucked in for the night.
I mean, this is really overwhelming for them. Auction. God only knows where they came from. Long trailer ride, coming back, semi-darkness, into a strange barn, lots of people, dogs. So I think they're all considering, we've got, is it 7?
Yeah.
So we've got 2
7.
with temperatures. He's got a high temperature, but Jojo's only got a
Mild temperature. Okay.
But it is warm as well.
That's true. It is
So,
extraordinarily
but
hot.
his is abnormally
High.
high. His
Okay.
is high. So anyway, so he's got a little bit of view, and we'll see how he is in the morning. But you can't treat it aggressively. He's going to have to get veterinary.
Yeah. I gotcha.
So, but if they go tomorrow, so, and the whole point of segregating them is so he doesn't make the others.
No, it makes sense.
It was probably after we.
But I think it's kind of brutal what we do to these animals when you think about how many auctions they may have been through. Because this isn't picked up just coming off an Amish farm and straight into New Holland.
Right.
This is multiple sales, dirty trailers.
Doing the circuit. Yeah. That's great.
So these things are all fed, watered,
Yeah. And out.
taken care of,
Yeah.
feet, veterinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're happy.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. This is Jojo, the 19-year-old draft cross mare. Barbara Fontaine, my co-founder, had stepped up for her. We went to New Holland to get her on Monday morning, and Gerda from Gerda's Equine Rescue very kindly paid her bail, and she will be going to Gerda's Equine Rescue after she's done her 1-month quarantine here. We'll be working in collaboration with Gerda This is a joint effort, 2 rescues pulling together to make sure that this mare is brought back to health and ends up in a permanent home where she will be loved. She's absolutely loving what's being done today. It's about 90 odd degrees and it's around lunchtime. This is my daughter Emma. She is a great bather. She's going to get all that dry manure out of her tail. She's washed her legs. She was covered in fly bites and fly feces, almost like she had like a cannon crud. The picture speaks 1,000 words. This mare is super relaxed now. You can tell by her eye. She knows she's safe, aren't you, darling? She's a good girl. So she's had a hard life. I'm hoping that once her teeth are done and with the 7 or 8 small meals a day that she's getting now, which we give her totally wet, she almost gets the equivalent of a senior feed gruel. Hoping this will help pull her around, and I look forward to seeing how she looks 3 months from now. But this is all she needed, a little bit of TLC. So that is it for Jojo for today. And next one up is save number 2, which is the big gelding standing here. He's getting a bath next.
Meet Prince, the sanctuary's first save of 2020. He came to them with a front leg injury and unkempt hooves, which resulted in hip, leg, and back pain. Even after being treated with anti-inflammatories, Prince's pain persisted, and alternative therapies were recommended. Today is Prince's first session of acupuncture. Finally, it is time. You can see how uncomfortable it is for him just to stand still. Dr. Lindsay Harris of New York Veterinary Acupuncture Service performs Prince's sessions.
I'm from Warwickshire in England, and I came here nearly 30 years ago. And I actually came here, I was working with Grand Prix horses in New Jersey, and then I moved on from that and continued to rescue in this country the same as I had done in England.
And why do you do this? I mean, it sounds like a passion project.
It's part of my DNA. My father's always done it. He started in the 1960s. He helped stop the live transportation of horses out of Cork in Ireland. He was one of the big people behind the innovation of riot gear for horses. This is hay stretcher. She cannot eat hay, so this is a pelletized form that gets soaked, so it's much more palatable for her and decreases her chances of getting choke. It became a sanctuary in August of 2019.
Yep, we incorporated, in August, and got our 501c3 September 6th. So what did you do before that? You just, same thing?
No personal funding. My husband and I have always funded it
Oh,
for the last 20 years.
Awesome. So now
And
you
then
can
Barbara
get
and
money.
I met through her mules. She saved 2 mules, of which this one is one of hers.
Nice.
And it was Barbara who said, you know, you're supporting all these animals and doing it yourself, and you really should think about becoming a not-for-profit. And it was something, you know, I have enough to do out here without doing paperwork, and I told her I'm hopeless at paperwork. So Barbara is my CFO.
Nice. So I did the paperwork.
Yeah, she does the paperwork. And
works.
it's a good union because both of them require their own skill set.
Exactly.
You know, but you can't do it all. It's like my
No.
my daughter always says to me, you wear too many hats and the trouble is you're wearing them all at once. You can only wear one at a time.
True.
And these animals, you never know. All the best laid plans can go out the window. I didn't expect the vet this morning. Didn't want the vet this morning. It's the last thing that we want. So, but we're very fortunate that we have Dr. Julia. Because she really does prioritise us. The hardest part for me is walking away and knowing there were so many that I couldn't help due to space restrictions or just not having the financial resources, because taking them is easy. It's the keeping them and the veterinary and all the unknowns. They come with unknown history, but they're all special.
A local horse sanctuary in Goshen rescues and rehabs horses, and sometimes they adopt them out to families. I'm Erin Cotel Altman with the story. Kay O'Hanlon owns the Iron Horse Sanctuary in Goshen. Originally from England, she came here nearly 30 years ago. The sanctuary rescues and rehabs horses that are no longer wanted, are too old to race, or are set to be slaughtered.
She's actually starting to get fat coverage over her ribs.
Helping horses is in her blood.
It's part of my DNA. My father's always done it. He started in the 1960s, and it was just a natural progression. I've always done it.
The horses have more than 150 acres to roam around, and until last year, Kay and her husband were using their own money for over 25 years to rescue and care for these animals. A true passion project, but now they're officially a non-profit organization.
It's just a part of the tapestry of my life, and I'll continue to do it, and I would hope that my children will.
More than 30 horses, 4 mules, and 18 cats living side by side. To donate to the sanctuary, visit ironhorsesanctuary.org. In Goshen, I'm Erin Cotel Altman, Spectrum News.
It's a beautiful Saturday morning here, and this is day 2 of Jojo's turnout. Jojo is 6 weeks out of the kill pen, and she is out of quarantine, and she's finally been introduced to the crew. We do small group turnouts in large acreage, and it really works well. They can actually meet each other over the fence, and it's very good for their herd instinct. Here we have Boss Mule Romulus, followed by Lilba. All the mares have come to say hello to Jojo, and she's pretty disinterested. She's just happy to be out, and we couldn't ask for better weather, better turnout, very few bugs. It's nice and cool. There's little Prada trotting after her. He does take good care of her. He's very bonded with her.
Yes, it's October 7th. And there's JoJo getting loaded onto the trailer for a trip. She's such a beautiful girl. She's wonderful, just a sweetheart. We're gonna miss her so much.
Yep, we will.
We will. Okay, don't lock Kay in there.
No.
The majority of the horses the sanctuary rescues are from kill pens. But how do horses end up there in the first place? Mainly, they come from two places: the racing industry and Amish farms.
Most of these animals that come out of the racing industry, they're loaded with drugs that they've had throughout their lifetime. Most thoroughbreds are shipping directly because they're fed up of people on social media and rescue groups exposing the breeders and the trainers. So they make them disappear, so we don't even get a chance to get them. The only reason that we get the standard breds is because they're coming mainly after they've been used up by the Amish. So I'd like to see, the horse problem is endemic to that industry, and we need to see changes within the industry and accountability.
There is no one addressing the welfare of these animals. For 31 years, we've been trying to get the racing industry to look at the problem, address it, find a solution. If there is no solution, fine. But at least try. But we can't get them to do that. So every racetrack is owned individually and under the umbrella of the racing commission in that state, who dictates the rules for racing, as far as how many times you can whip a horse, how often you can race a horse, infractions against the driver, that sort of thing. So these racing commissions are supposed to be protecting the betting public and the horse. The racetrack being owned individually can be operated a little differently than the next racetrack, but the Racing Commission rules have to remain within the rules of that particular state. So in New Jersey, they just implemented a ban on whipping in thoroughbred racing and standardbred racing. It's not completely 100% banned. They can carry a whip, but they have to hold it a certain way. And they can only use, I believe this is correct, only use it in a situation to coax a horse away from danger. Right? Now, if you go down to a state like Louisiana, the whipping down there is pretty startling to someone who likes horses. If a horse can go a speed of, let's say, 1 minute and 56 seconds consistently every week, he generally has a value. Let's just say it's $10,000. If he starts to get sore, now he's worth less, right? Because he can't go quite as fast. So they group a lot of these horses in what they call claiming races. So if I have a horse that can go in 1 minute and 56, and he's of an average age, let's say 5, and he gets sore, okay, so now his value is decreased, and now he would race in with a different group of horses. So at a value of $10,000, they have what's called a claiming race. What that means is all the horses in that race are valued at $10,000. Anyone can come and just buy the horse out of that race, and the owner can't say no. It seems pretty archaic, right? So now you have 8 horses in the race. They're all valued at $10,000, and 2 of them are sore or are injured after the race. So the owner and trainer could decide to rest the horse or just drop him in class, so to speak. So now he's racing in a $7,500 claiming race. And the horse goes into that race, and let's say he kind of stays consistent and can manage that. Well, that's fine. But if one gets hurt further, or another one gets hurt in that class, they keep dropping them through the ranks of claiming races. I think the cheapest claiming race is $2,500. It's not common to find a horse in a claiming race with a value of $2,500 who is not broken down. So the claiming races are really a detriment to these animals. There are horses in these cheap claiming races that might have made a couple of $100,000 in their life. But because they're aging, they're sore, they're injured, but don't look so injured when they race, now their value is $5,000, $3,000, $2,500 because he can't go as fast. So, in my opinion, claiming races really should be banned. The structure of claiming races should be banned. What it's also done is, for many years, people would swim their horses. If they were sore, rather than jogging 5 days a week, they would put them in the equine pool. But when you put your horse back into a claiming race, you have no say if someone wants to buy it. So now people are not providing them with the same quality of care because of that. And what happens to these horses when they can no longer compete or be bred is typically dealers come to the training centers and the farms, and they purchase them. Most of these dealers come from the rural communities such as Mennonites, Amish, and similar. And unless they have the opportunity to resell the horse runs through a livestock auction, and most, if not all, get shipped for slaughter. And that's where the Standardbred Retirement Foundation comes in. While we do take some horses right off the track to find them homes, a lot of our horses come from what we call this a kill pen. Horses that come out of these kill pens are generally in their late teens. The ones that come off the track are generally, the average age is 5. So they're still quite young. There's so many week after week after week. And right now we're working on 70 that are in kill pens this week. And at the end of December, we managed to help 71 that were tagged for slaughter. We were able to get them all out. We take any standardbred. There are organizations that have requirements. They have to be adoptable, sound, and between the ages of whatever and whatever. But we represent the humane aspect of this breed, and we will help whatever horse needs help. And of course, our fundraising also dictates that, because we have to have the funds to do it. Our funding primarily comes from individual donations. People who like horses, and there are some racehorse people who own horses, who will donate, will be one of their charities, because they're in racing because they enjoy the horses. But unfortunately, that's a very small group of people in racing. So our fundraising events are crucial to be able to feed and take care of our horses and get them into homes and get them followed up when they're in homes, to make sure that they're being well cared for. Because the number one reason for abuse and neglect among animals is loss of interest. So when a teenager goes off to college, the parents may not have any interest. They may not be bothered feeding the horse every day or what have you. So our program requires, when you adopt a horse, that you have your vet look at the horse twice a year. We have to know that the horse is still being cared for. We don't relinquish ownership, because if there's ever a problem where a horse is not cared for, we have to be able to go in and take the horse out. It's tough to have the authorities involved because they're overwhelmed as it is. So this gives us the freedom.
There are good Amish and there are bad Amish, and some of these animals, the condition that they arrived in, they were with the not so good family of Amish.
At this point, the horse had collapsed, but she says the man continued to beat the horse anyway. She said that officers came to the scene and the man admitted the horse should not have been hauling this load alone.
When these horses get into their late teens, they turn them over for what they call a fresh horse, a younger horse. And then these horses again get sold in a livestock auction, and the primary buyer there is the person that will ship them for meat. And that's really the saddest part of all this, because these horses go through so much on the track, even though they're well cared for the most part. Then those that are spared slaughter, go on to work so hard. Most are not fed well. Their feet are not trimmed. Their teeth are not cared for. Some of them go into the kill pen sick, injured. They lose sight in an eye, and they're not given the medical care that they need.
And those animals deserve, even if it's only 6 months or a year, of peace.
Horses are an essential element of Amish communities. This is due to their traditional values and unwillingness to adopt certain modern technologies. However, after years of building a relationship with an Amish community in upstate New York, Kay has offered them an alternative to shipping their horses to slaughter. This is Missy, a 19-year-old saddlebred, and Buster, a 17-year-old saddlebred Morgan mix, 2 horses from the aforementioned Amish community. These horses now have the chance to live out their lives at Iron Horse Sanctuary without ever experiencing the filth and stress of an auction like so many other Amish horses before them. This is just one small step in the right direction. Speaking of steps in the right direction, on January 12, 2021, a New York State Senate bill, S. 1442, was introduced and sponsored by Senator Addabbo. This bill is to ensure the prohibition of inhumane slaughter of retired racehorses and breeding stock. It also requires the microchipping of all registered racehorses. The bill also ensures adequate funding for the aftercare of these retired racehorses. As of March 2021, the bill has passed Congress and is waiting to pass the Assembly before being delivered to and signed into law by the governor. JoJo was eventually taken in by Angel Horses Incorporated in Connecticut, a permanent retirement sanctuary that specializes in caring for aged horses. Lovejoy, the little foal, has grown so much and is still living out his life at Iron Horse Sanctuary. All the ponies were saved on behalf of 2 other shelters in Vermont and have since been adopted out. Tinker, the gray, was diagnosed with EPM, an irreversible neurological disease. This disease was the reason his previous owners dumped him at auction. Unfortunately, the disease was too far along to treat. Tinker was humanely put down on October 31st, 2020. Tinker received a peaceful ending surrounded by those who loved him, something he would not have had if not rescued by Iron Horse Sanctuary. After acupuncture treatments proved unsuccessful, Prince was prescribed joint injections. However, his pain persisted. He could not easily adapt to the fields and could not lay down. Kay and the veterinarian determined the most compassionate option was to put Prince down in November of 2020.
I worked very closely with a rescue in Vermont, and we had purchased 7 horses in Bastrop, Louisiana, that were destined to go to Mexico. We were given a deadline of picking them up at noon on the Friday. My youngest daughter and I did that long trip. We left on the Wednesday night. We drove literally non-stop with just a few, short breaks in between. Got to Bastrop for the 12 o'clock deadline. Got them out of there, and then hadn't been on the road 10 minutes in the 100-degree heat and had a blowout on the trailer in the middle of nowhere. Had had horses overheating on the trailer and had to break all the windows to get more airflow. There just was not enough airflow. And I think that's the rescue that struck me the most, because that point where I picked them up from was a place of no return. That was true rescue. This wasn't killed by a broker page where they're kind of playing on people's sympathy and pulling at the heartstrings. This was the real deal. This was a shipping place where they had 3 or 4 loads going out a week. And this was where, you know, if we hadn't met the 12 o'clock deadline and driven non-stop, they would have gone. These people don't play around. That was my most vivid of all the rescues. But I think they all have true meaning to me.
If you want to help Iron Horse Sanctuary continue their job of rescuing horses, go to their website, ironhorsesanctuary.org, or to their Facebook page where they post frequent updates. Throughout the year, they offer tours and seasonal events, as well as merchandise, holiday wreaths, and more. If you would like to adopt a standard bred or help out the Standard Bred Retirement Foundation in New Jersey, visit their website, adoptahorse.org, to find out more.